What is up, guys? It is Heavy Dark, and today I'm going to be talking about some pickups that I got at two different places here in Portland. I'm super excited about this. These are games that I've had my eye on for a minute. Some of them are throwbacks to things that I had when I was a kid. Some of them are franchises that I've always wanted to start, so I got a lot of first installments in different series so that I could try it from the very beginning, because me personally, I do not like playing sequels until I've played the original. I actually did this with Armored Core. I bought the first Armored Core for PS1 strictly because I wanted to play the first one before I played the PS2 versions, because they are all sequels, and I'll tell you what, that game is absolutely insane. Maybe we'll do a review on that later, but for right now, we're going to be talking about the games that I picked up just the other day. So first we have Evil Dead Regeneration. Now this game is based off of the movie Evil Dead. I have seen the first Evil Dead, and then I saw the remake, and they were pretty good, pretty scary, a little intense, but yeah, this is definitely a horror game that I have wanted to try. It's probably not too scary. It's probably more action packed and comedy, so really looking forward to trying this one out. Next is Castlevania Lament of Innocence, and this is going to be my intro into the Castlevania series. I have watched a lot of reviews on different games, mostly stuff from the earlier releases, but when it comes to the PS2, this was the first one that was released in the series for the PS2, and I really enjoy the art style. I really enjoy the storyline. I enjoy the vampire in a dungeon, in a castle, and this whole entire aesthetic. I really enjoy just kind of what the series has to offer, so this is going to be my first experience into the franchise. Next is Driver 3. Now, I know I said that I want to try each installment before I try the sequel, but this was purchased just because I played this game when I was a kid. Now, when I was a kid, I was only allowed to play certain rated M games. Couldn't have any blood, couldn't have any profanity. Violence was okay. Don't know why. My parents just were okay with it. This game is rated M for violence. That's it. So I was able to convince my mom to let me buy this, and I played the crap out of it. I mean, essentially, if I remember correctly, this was basically a GTA clone, ride around stealing cars. I'm not really sure what your role is, if you're more of a gangster or if you're a cop, but either way, you get to roam wherever you want, drive cars, steal cars, shoot, there's weapons and explosions and all kinds of cool stuff. It's basically GTA, only watered down without the blood and gore and the language. So yeah, definitely excited to revisit this title. So this one, flat out, I'm not going to lie, I thought that this was something different when it was in the case. All I was able to see was the spine, and I did not do any research ahead of time for buying it. I thought that this was a racing game, kind of like Burnout, and I actually got Burnout, but I did not know what this was. And so I saw that it had a couple sequels, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get the first one in the series. This is flat out, it looks like some sort of like stuntman. I see a lot of like NASCAR-esque cars here, and I mean, maybe it's like a destruction derby kind of thing. It does say smash it up in 3 demolition derby arenas, so yeah, it definitely looks like something that it looks interesting, at least, you know. So we'll see how it turns out. Next we have Okami, and I'm very interested in this game because of the art style. Everything is painted, everything is flowing, everything looks very aesthetically pleasing. I really enjoy just the way that this looked. I did see some gameplay because I had a friend that played through this, and I watched him a couple times, and if I remember correctly, you get a paintbrush when you get to certain areas of the game that you get to use, and you write down characters from and forgive me, I don't know what language it is, but you write down characters from either Chinese or Japanese words, and then it has something happen, like something for fire will make, you know, fire appear to unlock a door, or water will have a waterfall appear, something like that. And so I think I remember him being able to draw flowers on the ground to like have a flower grow so that he can jump onto it to get to another platform. So this, if I remember correctly, was a very interesting game. I've always wanted to try it, And yeah, it just looks really cool. Next, Lord of the Rings. Now, I do love the Lord of the Rings. Um, if I were to say Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings, I'd probably go with Lord of the Rings just because I do like medieval swords, spells, wizards, and knights and all that stuff. That's kind of my jam over like futuristic space stuff. And so, anyway, I definitely grew up watching Lord of the Rings games, and I do remember playing some of these games. There are a lot of hack and slash adventure, going through different important scenes from the movies, and so obviously I had to get the first one in the series, Fellowship of the Ring, and so definitely excited to try this out and see. I haven't seen the movies in forever, so I guess I can't even verify whether it follows the movies or not, but still, it's going to be awesome to go back to experiencing something from my childhood, both the movie and the game. Next is Call of Duty Finest Hour. Now, I was a big Call of Duty person around PS3, so that would have been Black Ops and Black Ops 2. I believe Black Ops 2 was the one that I had the most amount of time invested in, but Call of Duty is goes way before that. And so this is the first installment on the PS2 for the Call of Duty franchise. And I wanted to experience the the roots of where it came from, where it started, and how it feels compared to modern day interpretations and evolutions of the Call of Duty franchise. So I got this to kind of compare against, which also leads me to Call of Duty 4. So Modern Warfare, this is a PS3 game that I played a lot, and I remember it was revolutionary when it first came out. I also remember that it was one of the few games that I ever saw in IGN that got a perfect 10 on its score. And so I remember just having so much fun with this. I remember the controls were just so fluid and smooth, and it really just revolutionized the first person shooter genre when it came to like leveling up and online play and all kinds of stuff like that. So this is a throwback, and honestly, it's like dirt cheap. So playing through the storyline is going to be, very worth the money. I don't think that there's any online servers anymore, so we're not going to be going into that. But start of the franchise, one of the evolutions of the franchise, and so I'm just excited to re-experience both of them. Next is the aforementioned Burnout. I remember watching one of my other friends, not the same one for Okami, but a different one, playing Burnout, and I remember him going through the streets so dang fast, and everything was blurring, and he was just twitching his finger left and right to like avoid obstacles and to go on ramps and stuff. And I remember the crashes were in slow-mo, and there was bits of cars flying all over the place, and they really emphasized the crash mechanics and kind of the aesthetic of explosions and all kinds of damage to your car and the surroundings. And so, but I just remember it was so fast, and I couldn't even, like, when I was watching him play, I was like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't control a car going 300 miles an hour, however fast they're going, and not hit all these obstacles, but he was able to do it. So I wanted to try it out. This is the first installment for the PS2, so I had to get it. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to trying out. Next is Freedom Fighters. So this was a game that I definitely looked at when I was a kid. I think we all remember going to Blockbuster to look at different rentals or GameSwap. Well, actually, GameSwap is the secondhand store that was in the city that I grew up, and it was a play on GameStop, and they basically were a retro game trading store. So I'd go in there for hours on end just looking at the backs of all these different games, and this was one that always caught my eye. It was rated T, and it was only for violence, so it was definitely one that I would be allowed to convince my mom to let me buy. But this, it says that it's a third-person shooter, and it is in the streets of New York City. So I'm assuming that it has something to do with overthrowing a government or some sort of apocalypse or whatever, but definitely action-oriented, and so, hopefully it's good when we check it out. So next we have Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction. And this was another game that I would see on the shelves, and I was always wanting to try it out, wanting to see what it was all about. I think that I spent a lot of time playing games like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter that I didn't really branch out into other genres. And so when it came to games that were enticing, games that were interesting, anything with realistic guns, anything with, realistic violence, I don't know why they were just interesting to me. And so this was definitely one that I have in my memory bank of really wanting to experience and try out. So I had to pick it up. And last but not least is Star Wars Battlefront. Now, this is a game that I played when I was a kid, and that's kind of why I got it. Was I definitely really liked the fact that you could have a bot match that had so many different characters. Usually when you're doing matches against the AI or against the computer, it's like 3, 4, 5, maybe 8 if you're lucky. But this was like full scale battles. There's different crafts that you can ride on. There's different weapons that you can use. You can spawn in different points depending on what you've taken, as far as like respawn locations or flags or hard points or whatever it is. I just remember this game was super fun, and I definitely wanted to do a review on it because it's very nostalgic, but also I'm kind of curious if it's as good as I remember. I do remember that some of the matches didn't go on as long as I'd like, that there was a lot of repetitive gameplay, but I think we all remember playing this game with our friends and choosing different factions on the split screen, and so hopefully it's actually as good as I remember. I guess we'll find out. And that is my pickup for the new year. I did all of this on New Year's Eve, and so this is going to be probably a lot of the next reviews that I'm going to do. I do have an absolutely insane backlog right now. I cannot play enough games right now to go through all of it, let alone make videos and review them properly. I tend to want to review games after I've completed them completely, which takes a long time. So I think that some of these are going to be, first impressions, 3-hour gameplays, stuff like that, just so that I can get more comfortable making content a little quicker. But I'm super stoked to add this to my collection. I do not know exactly where they are going to go, if I'm being honest. I am running out of space quick. I have too many boxes that are taking up space right now, but that is a problem for another day. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you can like and subscribe, I would definitely really appreciate that. Any kind of help that you can give is awesome, and hopefully you'll be back to check out some of these reviews. Anyway, I'm Heavy Dark. Catch you later.